What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a New Year's Eve edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That's HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. All right, man. We appreciate y'all for being here so much. Thank you for being here. It is New Year's Eve. Some good bowl games yesterday. You got another slate of games today, including the college football playoff semifinals. That's Cincinnati against Alabama, 2:30 Central, Georgia, Michigan at 6:30 Central. And my understanding, by the way, is that the coverage of those games starts then, but the kickoff wouldn't be like the kickoff for Cincinnati, Alabama is until actually 3 Central, and Georgia, Michigan isn't until 7, like the kickoff itself. But the coverage will begin earlier than that. So, hang on one second. Sorry, y'all. Hang on one second. Okay, sorry. Sorry, Drew's backpack was he was laying in bed. I wanted to make sure his backpack wasn't feeding the bed. Anyway, okay, let's say some good mornings here, and we'll get right to it. Bama, Cincy, Georgia, Michigan. I'll give you my thoughts on those games. How about Lady Tiger basketball? They go on the road, get a win over 13th ranked Georgia. What a way to start the SEC slate for Kim Mulkey and her squad. Anything else y'all got? Fire away. Y'all know the drill. My last day off here. Be back on Monday on AFR, so we'll look forward to that. All right, let's say some good mornings. Devin Steve, betting your soul on Bama Slammer, Scone Brook. Yes, I do believe Alabama will win. Aaron Hornsby, hey Dad, what's up? Jimmy Babin, Reagan Lee. Should we expect more opt-outs before next Tuesday? Yes, I think you will. You will learn of more before Tuesday. Todd Harris, good morning. Tim Casalot, good morning. Brant Roban, morning. Did you see the BS call an OT for the Music City Bowl? I did. So I think the forward progress call, so if you missed it, Music City Bowl is a barn burner with Tennessee and Purdue. In overtime, Tennessee's got a fourth down play. They go for it. And the ball carrier gets hit right around the 1. He falls on the defender and reaches the ball over the goal line before anything hit the ground. I mean, it was a touchdown, and they ruled forward progress stopped. I think the forward progress ruling was probably just the bailout because they screwed that up badly. Teresa Michelle, good morning. Hey, David Rodri, Kelly Gross, Samuel Merrifield, Matt, if Cincy wins today, which I think is never going to happen, would you consider it the biggest upset of all time in sports history? Also, I recommend seeing the Kurt Warner movie. It's amazing. Cool. Yeah, I might see that movie. Biggest upset ever? No. Because here's the thing. Cincinnati is a good football team, and upsets do happen. We've seen much greater upsets statistically, by point spread. I mean, Bama's a 13.5 point favorite. I mean, you remember when Stanford beat USC as like a 42 point underdog? I mean, that was Jim Harbaugh's Stanford, by the way. I mean, we've seen far greater upsets. The U.S., their win over Russia in Lake Placid, Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. We've seen far greater upsets. We've seen far greater upsets in this sport. So no. I don't think it's the greatest upset of all time. No. Where are we? Shane Duncan forward progress was definitely stopped, my boy. No, it wasn't, brother, because he kept fighting and kept moving forward. His forward progress wasn't stopped. He kept moving forward and scored. Blake DeVilliers, morning, Matt. Can you tell us how the newly hired coaches will handle recruiting for LSU and working in the NFL? Good question. Remember, Blake, right now you're in a recruiting dead period. So it doesn't really matter until the recruiting dead period is lifted. So I think for the guys in the NFL presently, and really the only one that likely matters for is Matt House, because Kansas City will be on a probably a long playoff run. But this also isn't new. There's before the early signing period, it was somewhat common that new coaches wouldn't be hired until after signing day, because what would happen is old coaches would stay on staff to finish off the class, then move on, and you'd hire a new coach. So, I really honestly don't think it matters tremendously. Matt House isn't going to have a deep relationship with any of these players anyway. So at this point, I think most importantly, it's Brian Kelly being able to express to the recruits, here's who your DC is going to be. Here's our plan on defense. More so than developing that rapport with the defensive coordinator. All right. Brant Roban, I don't know. His legs were... no, he scored. David Rabb, what's up? David Mailer Sr., good morning. Happy New Year. Danny Brabham, good morning. Shane Duncan, Denbrock announced tomorrow or middle of the game, down by 30. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be announced on New Year's Day. Maybe New Year's Day. I mean, remember Nick Saban to Alabama was announced on New Year's Day. What else? She was getting ready to play Notre Dame in that Sugar Bowl. But when I hear, I'll sort of let you know. I mean, look, the Matt House stuff was interesting when that was announced. I was whatever day that was this week, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. I was told that morning that the announcement was coming that evening. So it happened a little quicker than I thought. I thought they'd wait, but they went ahead and knocked it out. So Tuesday is typically an off day in the NFL, so it makes sense if you do it then. Brian Wynn, good morning. Happy New Year. Stephen Wallace, good morning from Bama. Bet on Georgia and Alabama today. You talking about money line plays, or are you talking about against the spread? I think both could be smart plays. I think you have a lot of recency bias working against Georgia and for Alabama, because people watch Alabama beat Ohio State and Iowa the way they did and watch Georgia lose the way they did to Alabama. Georgia's still a great team. They had an awful game plan against the team that is their daddy, but it doesn't change the fact that Georgia is and was all season the best team in college football. So I do think that Georgia line probably should be a little bigger than it is at 7.5. But I'm not an odds maker, so what do I know? Let's see. Daniel Clark, what whiskey are you sipping to ring in the new year? Don't know, Daniel. I never really, honestly, never plan that. Like I say often, one of the benefits of having everything I have is that it's almost like walking into a candy store, right? What strikes your fancy that day? Do you want chocolate covered strawberries? Do you want gummy bears? Do you want Laffy Taffy, or do you want baked goods like brownies? Do you want ice cream? Just whatever I really feel like drinking that day. Do I want something toasted? Do I want something low proof? Do I want something wheated? Do I want something oaky? Just kind of whatever I'm kind of feeling that day. Blake Canfield, Jeremy Kling, Clark Tiger Davis, good morning. Nick and Bradley Hole, have you heard info on LSU's efforts to improve NIL deals? So, Nick, remember, LSU can't be involved in that. I think that's an important distinction. Maybe that's just semantics, but you got to remember, LSU can't facilitate NIL deals. It has to be a business-led effort. That's why Gordon McKernan stepping to the forefront was a big deal, that he's maybe organizing the business owners. So that, just remember, that's it's an important distinction. It's not like Scott Woodward can organize or Brian Kelly can organize businesses for NIL purposes, right? But yeah, I mean, look at the tweet that Gordon McKernan put out a couple days ago where he used the hashtag KB, and then Kayshon Boutte says, don't listen to the noise, I'm locked in. I mean, it tells you all you need to know. I mean, I'll tell you all point blank, Kayshon Boutte has been on a GameCoin deal where he gets paid monthly by GameCoin and has since the summer. Speaking of GameCoin, right there. So anyway, if they got a deal done there, fantastic. If that's what kept him in place. You got the Under Armour game coming up. I'm not sure if y'all saw, but the 5-star linebacker Harold Perkins gave an interview, I believe it was to Rivals, in advance of that game. And essentially, he did say point blank, I wish I could, let me see if I can find that real quick. Hang on. I mean, he said point blank when he was asked about Texas, was NIL deals. He's like, oh yeah, they've been telling me blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was, here it is. Y'all bear with me just for one quick second, because I'll play this for you. If I can find it. Y'all bear with me just for one quick second.
Take my time, I ain't rushing. They understand, everybody understand. And then it's like, man, they know what they doing. I feel like they could be good too. You know what I'm saying? You can make money off your name easily.
But here it is.
NIL down there, bro. It's Austin. You know what I'm saying? You can make money off it. To come in and prepare.
Here you go. This is Harold Perkins, 5-star linebacker.
They could be good too. And then it's like the NIL down there, bro. It's Austin. You know what I'm saying? You can make money off your name easily, bro.
Is that a big part of their pitch to you?
Yes, sir. They gonna use me. You know what I'm saying? Gotta get it back.
That's right. When you look at what they're doing in the...
Is that a big part of their pitch? Yes, sir. They're going to use me. I got to get it back. It's Austin. You can make money down there. That's Harold Perkins, 5-star linebacker. Said point blank. That's been part of the pitch.
Transfer portal, too. They're bringing in a lot of big-name guys. LSU is a big school for you. Your coach over there, Coach Brian Kelly. What's the message been like from you with him?
I ain't gonna lie. I never talked to him. I know one time when they were trying to talk to me, I was doing my senior picture, so I couldn't talk to him. So I still haven't talked to him about. I don't know if I'm good. I ain't gonna lie. But I never talked to him. Never.
When you look at...
Hasn't talked to Brian Kelly. 5-star linebacker Harold Perkins hasn't talked to Brian Kelly. So that doesn't look good. I wouldn't expect that one to go LSU's way. That certainly feels like a Texas A&M battle right now. All right, let me jump into YouTube here. By the way, smash the like button, YouTube. Appreciate you for being here with us. Trivia Carter, what's good? Bubba Tatum, good morning. Nicholas Cantrell, morning Scone. Two things. One, how's Old Forester Single Barrel, and who we bet today? All the Old Foresters really good. Old Forester Single Barrel is very, very good. Old Forester 150, if you can find it, is actually magnificent. And then who we betting today? I just have a really tough time going against Alabama in the playoff, and I do think there's tremendous value with Georgia. I don't like 7.5. If I could get it at 7 or wait for it to fall below 7, if it moves that way, that would be enticing to take Georgia. But I do like the two SEC schools in this game. I do. I think you just have a giant case of recency bias in that Georgia-Michigan game. By the way, you also have today at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. today at the Gator Bowl, Wake Forest and Rutgers. Wake is a 17-point favorite. Wake's defense is absolutely atrocious, but remember, Wake's offense can absolutely sling it. That may be one where the total 62.5. You may take a look at the total there. Washington State Central Michigan is at 11 a.m. in the Sun Bowl. Of course, that was a late ad there as well, with Central Michigan jumping in to that game. Washington State's a 7-point favorite. Do not have a strong feel there. Your motivation's key, but you also have such a weird situation where Central Michigan was a late ad. And then, as we mentioned, the playoff games with Bama as a 13.5-point favorite. I would probably lay the 13.5 with Bama. And then Georgia's 7.5-point favorite. I don't like that line in that game. I don't like the hook, so I might abstain there, or maybe make a small money line play on Georgia. Let's see. Devin Steve, Donald A. Me, good morning. Bruce Shales, good morning. Devin Kelly, good morning. Jesse Brown, Happy New Year. Joseph Armato, Kyle Milliken, score predictions on the semis. Score predictions, I'm not sure I have them. I look at Alabama's scores in the college football playoff. They lost that first year to Ohio State when in the Sugar Bowl with Zeke and Cardale and all those guys. But Bama has found itself in this situation before. Hang on. Let's see. Here you go. So the first year, Bama lost to Ohio State. The second year, Bama beat Michigan State 38-0. Blew doors off of them. The third year, they lost. They lost to Clemson last year. They beat Washington 24-7, so a 17-point win that day. They beat Clemson 24-6 the next year in 2018. They were obviously not in it. No, I'm sorry, in 2019. This is the 2018 season, 2019 playoff. They beat Oklahoma 45-34. That was the game where Alabama had the huge lead, and Oklahoma rallied to make it look closer than it was, but still an 11-point win for Alabama. And that one, they obviously were not in it in 2020. That's when LSU just skunked Oklahoma 63-28. And then last year they beat Notre Dame 31-14. So Bama has blown out everyone they've played. The only one that was inside of this number of 13.5 was the one against Oklahoma in the 2018 season, the 2019 Orange Bowl, when Oklahoma rallied late to make that close, but it was 45-34 Alabama. So Bama in these situations blows teams out. I do think that they'll beat Clemson by more than the number. I do. Let's see. Jesse Brown, Lesko, what's up? Hope to see Drew today. Drew's in here. He just walked out of the bedroom and he's watching Wheel of Fortune on Erica's phone in there. It's funny. He watches Wheel of Fortune puzzles, and he memorizes the puzzles. So he'll walk around and it'll be like loud laughter and stuff like that. He's just like, woo! And he'll go, woo, because it's the crowd cheers after they get it. Alex Barnes, what we know now is Mel Tucker real candidate for the LSU job. So Alex, I've talked about this for a while. No, there was a contingent at LSU that wanted Mel Tucker, but he was never a real candidate in the eyes of Scott Woodward, no. And I was told very early in the process that Mel Tucker was essentially told, listen, feel free to use this interest to leverage a new deal at Michigan State, which he did. Let's see, Jesse Brown, LSU women beat Georgia. Mulkey has those girls believing, playing better. Obviously turned over the roster. Amazing. They've already exceeded their win total from a year ago. It's a couple of top 15 wins already. I beat Iowa State, now Georgia. Impressive, man. Absolutely impressive. Trey Guy, Mitchell G, Tony Janusa, Craig Schilling. What's up, Craig Schilling? Part-time college referees. It will never change. # Tennessee. That was a bummer. Glenn Garner, good morning. Don't know why. For some, I still got Michigan winning. Glenn, I believe it's just recency bias because people watched Michigan the way they finished and they watched Georgia against Alabama. and people probably don't actually know much about Michigan except watching them against Ohio State and then against Iowa in that Big Ten championship. And Iowa was not a very good team this year. And let's not forget Ohio State lost at home to a very average Oregon team. I just got pounded at home by a very average Oregon team. I do believe that for the first time, Harbaugh has found his quarterback, Cade McNamara, who we talked about very early in the season. Like it looks finally like Harbaugh wants that offense to look. I think Georgia's defensive front seven dominates the game. Georgia's secondary is the problem, but I don't think Michigan has the passing game to affect Georgia's secondary the way Alabama did with those receivers. So, I think Georgia wins that game. Now, Michigan's defense is really good. Is Stetson Bennett the guy to get all that question? That's all fair, but if George Pickens is healthier and some of those pass catching options are back for Georgia in this ball game, I just think they make enough plays and win it. I do. Wendell Norman, good morning. Alex Day, is LSU actually going to play in the bowl game? Hey, man, they're getting on the bus to Houston today. We'll find out, man. As long as they don't have any COVIDs break out while they're in Houston going to the rodeo and whatnot. They'll be very short on numbers, but I told y'all, man, administrators have insisted that they're going to play the game. Their scholarship player numbers in the low 50s, and that includes, like available players, that includes the players that they've awarded scholarships to. Not sure if y'all saw it yesterday, but LSU got a commitment from a long snapper from East Carolina as a transfer. And I told y'all this last week and early this week, that last week at practice, LSU had players staying after practice to work on long snapping because LSU's long snapper is academically ineligible. I think his name's Skinner. So, you're the long snapper. How are you ineligible? But anyway, I'm telling y'all, you're going to hear more. Between now and the start of the game, you're going to learn of more players that are not available for the game. There's been no media availability. There's been no media availability to ask Brad Davis about that. So, and I don't know that people are breaking down the doors on the beat right now, on the LSU beat, trying to get that info. Dylan Willsey, Matt, are you going to cover the New Orleans Breakers when they come back this year? I'll be interested for sure. I mean, I can't tell you that we're going to be like deep dive into the nuance of the roster and everything. I just don't think there's going to be that much interest, but I'll be interested in it. Brett Dagger, morning Scone, pulling from Michigan and Cincinnati today. On Georgia and ISIS before Alabama. No, Brett, I'm going to be cheering for Alabama today. And here's why, Brett. Alabama winning another one is irrelevant. Who cares? Nick's got 7. What's 8? It ain't like it's going to change. It ain't like recruits are all of a sudden going to want to start going to Alabama. You know what I mean? Who cares? The bigger deal is if Cincinnati goes and has a good showing, then in the minds of many, it's going to legitimize the group of 5 in the playoff, which I'm allergic to that idea. You all know that. And it's not that Cincinnati's a bad team. I don't think Cincinnati's a bad team. They're a pretty good team. But who you play has to matter. Like, this has been my contention all along. When I look at Cincinnati's strength of schedule, and it's when I look at Cincinnati's strength of schedule, and it's 87th, which is 36 spots worse than the next best in the playoff, which is Georgia, by the way, at 51. When Cincinnati's strength of schedule is 87, give LSU Cincinnati's schedule. They're a playoff team this year. Ed Ogeron's still LSU's coach. Now, that's always been my point. You have to earn it. Like, you don't get to play. You don't get to play. You don't get to play Miami of Ohio, Murray State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Temple, Central Florida, Navy, Tulane, Tulsa, South Florida, SMU, ECU, and Houston and say, hey, we're the best team in the country. No, you're not. You went undefeated in the layup line. Step back and shoot some threes, brother. At least a mid-range jumper. So, no, I'm not okay with it. You have a 32-team playoff? Okay, yeah, get in that. That's fine. But hell no. Not at all interested. Not at all interested in Cincinnati being in this game. And I'm very much wanting Alabama to beat the ever-living crap out of Cincinnati. I will be cheering, maybe not for Alabama, but against Cincinnati today. David Rabb, what's up? Where are we? Todd Harris, do you think recruiting 5 stars is less important now with the transfer portal? Getting ready to go transfer compared to developing kid you lose in 3 years. No, Todd, for the top tier players, that's having that kid for 3 years is better than having a transfer for 1 year, no doubt. That's how you create continuity on your roster. But I do think you'll see less of signing the 3-star developmental guy, because you say, well, why would I use a roster spot on the 3-star developmental guy who may or may not pan out when I could save that spot for a 1-year guy who's a proven college football athlete? I do think that'll happen. But it won't affect the 4- and 5-star guys. You think LSU basketball got exposed pretty good, or we just had a terrible night? So Brant talked about that a bunch yesterday. I think it's just what LSU is. I think they're not a good shooting team. We've known that all along. And you were facing a legit 7-foot experienced center who made it very hard in the lane, blocked 11 shots. There are no mid-range jumpers on this team. There are no shooters on this team. So if LSU can't get to the rim and finish, and they're settling for 3-pointers, that's a bad recipe. I mean, LSU's got to score in transition. They got to get to the rim and out-athlete people. And that wasn't happening the other night. There's just very few teams in the SEC that can do what Auburn did. The other thing is the road environment. I believe that you're going to see home teams dominate college basketball this year, because any college basketball player that's in their first or second year has never played in a true packed road environment because of the COVID year. So, I think, yes, I think it's going to be tough to win on the road for every team in every league this year. So my contention is LSU in these first 7, you got 4 of the 7 on the road, split those road games. Go 2-2 on the road, win your home games, come through that 5-2, worst 4-3, and then you could win your final 11. They'll be favored in 10 of their final 11. Matt Lusso, can Bama beat Cincinnati, then forfeit immediately for something stupid so Kirby never gets to beat Bama? Lawrence Burley, good morning. Reagan Lee. Sounds like Gordon got the deal done with Keyshawn. It does. Henry Gordon Bennett, disappointed to hear Harold Perkins say in an interview hasn't talked to anyone from... He didn't say the staff. He said he didn't talk to Brian Kelly yet. Robert and Rebecca Griffin, good morning. Greg Phillips. Hey, Dad, a warm 43 in Kansas with a high 57. All right, my dad's there. Mom and Dad are there visiting. My sister Alicia, who just had, back in November, had twins. So they had a little NICU stay. And so first time Mama and Papa are seeing the twins. My mom used to complain that she was never going to have grandkids because me and my brother and my sister were all kind of late to the party. She now has 9. So be careful what you wish for. Tomorrow, 0 degrees with 100% chance of snow. That's not fun at all. Brant Roban, you think Bama having Mechie out affects them enough to lose against Georgia or Michigan? I don't, Brant. No. Mechie's a great player, but honestly, Jamison Williams stepped in and was better this year than Mechie. Have you seen a more long snappery name than Slade. Yeah, that's the kid that they got from East Carolina. The long snapper transfer. Robert Bosch or Besh, good morning, Happy New Year. Why all the guys that are going to opt out waiting to the last second? Or maybe they know. Maybe the team knows, just haven't announced yet. Tim Whitten, their only mid-range jumper was ND. Yeah, that's true. Only if his last name was Ferguson. Shelby's 49 days close enough to talk midweek games and bunting. Yes, we're still too close, especially with the playoffs going on starting today, and then the NFL season not wrapped up yet. Soon. Stephen Fry, question, Matt. I would assume we're still after Denbrock. What happens if Ryan Day takes the Bears job, which would be stupid? Would that create a trickle effect if Luke Fickell gets the nod at Notre Dame? We miss out on Denbrock if he gets the head coach job at Cincy? Oh, you're saying if Fickell takes the Ohio State job, not the Notre Dame job. Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know that Ryan Day is leaving for the Bears. I don't know that. But there's always that possibility. That's why we say it's never done until it's done. Done. Jerry DeLucky, good morning. Let's see. Matthew Rhodes. Matt, has anything been said? Who will start for quarterback at the bowl game as of yet? I told y'all last week Matt O'Dowd was on crutches. No word yet on a waiver for Nussmeier. So they're practicing with Jontre right now to be the guy. Randall Offrecht. In my opinion, if LSU could have finished last year in Bama, that would have been one of the biggest upsets in history. No. I mean, by point spread, their win over Florida last year was a bigger upset. They were like a 27-point underdog at Florida last year when they won it in the Fog. Marcus Stewart, I remember crying the night Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. I remember watching it. Went to Michael Kenny's house. He had HBO. So we went over there to watch it. We told my mom, we'll be back shortly. And then ended up going the way it did. Well, let's see. Devin Steeb. Free Cody Boudreaux. Who's Cody Boudreaux? Sorry. I don't know who that is. Sorry. Cody Boudreaux. Gulf South. So my neighbor shares your logic that Cincy doesn't belong in playoffs. I disagree. So we bet that this game will be closer than the Bama MSU playoff game. Loser cuts sales grass for your. Oh, wow. So the Bama Michigan State playoff game, what was the final of that one? That was 2015. Oh, 38-0. Oh, geez. Yeah, I would take Cincinnati plus 38. That's a good bet. That's a good bet. Gulf South. Again, I'm not saying Cincinnati is a bad football team. I'm just saying you don't deserve the opportunity to be in the playoff if you play that schedule. That's the point. Like, we've had this conversation so many times about like the ACC champion or the Pac-12 champion in years whenever those leagues stink. And now you're talking about a group of five? That's always been my point. It's not that Cincinnati's bad. It's not that, I mean, if you put Cincinnati in the SEC, could they go 8-4, 7-5? Like, could they be Missouri? Could they beat Tennessee? Maybe, sure, yeah. But, like, you're not, like, if Cincinnati had to play LSU schedule, are they 8-4? You know, I mean, that's the point. That's the point I'm making. Like, college football is not equal. All wins in college football are not equal. And Cincinnati is not Ohio State. Cincinnati is not, there's never going to be. My contention has always been, if you're a group of five, you have to start by playing 4 road non-conference games against Power 5 schools. You have to go on the road and play 4 Power 5 road games in the non-conference, win them all, and then we can have the conversation, because every team in the Power 5 plays 4 road Power 5 conference games. So, I mean, until you do that, I'm not interested in having the conversation. But the committee's a bunch of cowards, and they put him in there. So I hope Cincinnati gets the doors blown off of them so we never have to have this conversation again. until they expand the playoff. When you expand the playoff, fine. Let's have a playoff. Ronald Barnes, Will Emery, and Bo looked really good in the one-on-ones yesterday at the Under Armour All-America practice. I think LSU's in good shape. Oh, you're talking about the offensive lineman. Okay. Matt, got a little Pappy Van Winkle in that latte? No. You would never, ever mix Pappy in coffee or anything else, by the way. No, it's just coffee, cream, and one Splenda. William Law saw an interview with Harold Perkins, said he hasn't talked to Brian Kelly. Yeah, played that a little while ago for those that missed it. Merrick Mathern thought the company Haney went to facilitate players, companies, and NIL deals. Yeah, that's Match Point. He's not with Match Point anymore, but Match Point does that. I mean, they're an intermediary, so companies or players can go on, and then Match Point, that matches companies with players, but that's not specifically for one school. How about the Lady Tigers? Indeed. Out the boot. Screwing on Cincinnati 31-21. Cincinnati's not winning this game today. Voodoo. Brian Kelly's already made some head-scratching mistakes in recruiting. Has he? I mean, if you're talking about the Harold Perkins thing, he said they contacted him. Or he tried to get in touch with him. They couldn't connect, whatever. I mean, they're in a dead period right now. So, like, he had less than a week back then. And even if Perkins commits somewhere today, he doesn't sign until February, or tomorrow, whatever. Why do big-time players like Stingley wait so long to officially declare for the draft? I don't know. To each their own. Devin Kelly, Merrick Mathern, when does LSU leave for Houston today? Voodoo, it's mind-blowing that he hasn't picked up the phone, talked to the number one linebacker in the country when LSU needs linebackers. Context, again, remember, like, he did say they tried to talk, if you listen to that interview. And if you know you have till February, you're in a dead period right now. You can't just pick up the phone and call him right now. Kyle Milliken, Matt, do you think some schools are going to start getting in trouble with NIL, or do you think it's too much of a gray area right now? Yeah, I think there's an inevitability there that you'll have recruiting issues. Again, y'all are missing the point here with Harold Perkins. So when Kelly got here, he had about a week. He had 8 days till the early signing period. His whole objective was trying to get his staff in place and recruiting the guys that were currently committed. Right? He said this plainly. That was the objective. Did a very good job of that. And got a couple of other Louisiana. It was focused heavily on some of those Louisiana guys that were uncommitted. You miss out on Chaz Preston, Kendrick Law, but you get the Madison Prep defensive lineman, Quincy Wiggins, right? So anyway, you keep Tyjee Hill, or you get Tyjee Hill recommitted. The corner from Lafayette Christian. Anyway, he wanted to focus on home base. He said that. So, okay, that's a strategy. You're in a recruiting dead period right now. So you have an opportunity, even if Harold Perkins commits to Texas or A&M tomorrow, or to whatever it is, the Under Armour game, you still got until February to try to flip him. You got February to go do it in-home, to get him on campus for an official. Like, you got time. So you got to pump the brakes on that a little bit. But Dial King, pulling for Cincinnati. I hope they win. Pulling for Georgia. I hope they lose. Or if they win, pulling for Georgia. If they lose, pulling for Michigan. Okay. LeBron James is watching. That's great to see. College football playoff is a joke. Notre Dame, one loss came from number 4 Cincinnati, but you have 3 other teams in the playoff with 1 loss. And Michigan, 1 loss. Lost, not lost, by the way. Came to an ass team of Michigan State. College football play is dead. Nobody's watching. Oh, so you're saying Notre Dame should have been in, is what you're saying there, LeBron, because of who they lost to. No, you don't get to lose at home to a group of 5 team and get in the playoff. The bigger fraud is that the group of 5 team is in. Michael Tolliver, Alabama needs to teach the selection committee a lesson today. I agree. Jonathan 8808, what's up? And no, Devin said LeBron's on crack. Everybody's watching. No. Like, the numbers today are going to be terrible. The college football playoff ratings today will be terrible. It's already been proven. Whenever they're on New Year's Eve, people don't watch. Especially a 2:30 game on New Year's Eve when it's a work day for many, even if it's half a work day. You're going to play that game at 3 o'clock kickoff. The Alabama-Cincinnati game is going to be terribly rated. And then tonight, Georgia-Michigan has a lot of cachet, a lot of brand name power, but it's going to be all people at New Year's Eve parties. The ratings for this are going to be a bomb. Like, it's why they changed. Remember the first year, their whole thing was they were going to be on New Year's Eve. And the ratings were so bad that first year, they pivoted off. But whenever it falls the way it does, like this year, and the Rose Bowl's not part of the rotation, and they have to go to New Year's Eve, yeah, the ratings for the college football playoff semis back in 2016, whenever they were on New Year's Eve, were down 36% from the year prior. It's just not a thing that people are going to do. They're not going to watch. I mean, I will. I'm a diehard college football fan. There's others, like regionally, that will. The people who are cheering for the teams in these games, but the country at large is not going to be interested in these games as it would be if everyone were just sitting around on New Year's Day tomorrow. Let's see, Brett Dagger, I hear your arguments, H-E-A-R, by the way. Your argument's going, but as an LSU fan, I'll never pull for the Evil Empire. Okay, then don't pull for Alabama, pull against Cincinnati. Keaton Berrien, Big BK Bolger, the equalizer, is putting together very good staff. The future's bright. I agree. Greg T, what do you think the spread will be Tuesday versus Kentucky? Pick. I think it'll be a pick. Maybe Kentucky 1. Good morning, Scone. Let's get the Hudco theme up here. You know what, Jonathan? Ask and you shall receive. Ask and you shall receive.
Hudco roofing. Hudco roofing. When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone, Ontario.
All you need is Hudco.
Hudco roofing. Hudco roofing. Call Hudco roofing.
364.
1007. Roofing. Hudco roofing. Hudco roofing.
Hudco Roofing. Need a roof? Give us a shout. HudcoRoofing.com. This week has been awesome, man. Like, golly. It's so interesting how it was my first year in the roofing business, and it's just so interesting to watch that total drop, like total lull right before Christmas. And then now just boom, this week has been an explosion. Like, we got past Christmas and everyone with a blue tarp, everyone who's gotten the runaround, everyone who can't get a call back from a roofer, they're all calling us and going to the website, HudcoRoofing.com. So we can get to you. Had a buddy call yesterday. Was like, hey, man, need a repair job done. Boom, got him in touch with Scott, his manager. They're knocking that out today. I mean, let's go. We're rolling. Let's roll. Come on. HudcoRoofing.com. I gotta tell you this too. Crazy story, man. We had another referral, New Orleans. Excuse me. A roofer from Florida quoted a price on a roof of a replacement for this elderly lady at $23,000. It was a $9,000 roof. Needless to say, they were thrilled they called us and got a second opinion from a local company. Telling you, ignore the out-of-towners. They could do you wrong. Voodoo. Mid-range jump shot is the worst shot in basketball. I disagree, Voodoo. The worst shot in basketball is the shot one step inside of the three-point line. That's the worst shot in basketball because if you just take one step back, it's a three. It's the longest range too. Hi, Drew. Come see. Hey, come here. I want to tell you something. Come here. I want to tell you something. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen today. Come see. Come see. Come see. Come see. Come see. Come see. Okay. All right. All right. Do you see that, Joe? Hey, listen. All right. You want to tell everybody hi? Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. I love you. So sweet. Okay, guess what? Guess what today is? What day is today? What day is today? Today is... He's looking at himself like... What day is today? Friday. And who's coming over to Drew's house tonight?
Me.
Mimi and...
Bob.
Papa. Good.
Me.
Are you going to jump on trampoline?
That was happening.
And then tomorrow is...
Daddy.
Saturday, we'll watch college football. And after Saturday is Sunday. And on Sunday, who do we watch play? The Saints play on Sunday. And after Sunday is Monday. And after Monday is Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we'll wake up. We'll do Dad Show. And after Dad Show, we'll get dressed. We'll do Handsome. We'll go for a ride in the car to the... New St. Lillian. Gotta be the only kid in the world who's been begging to go back to school. Begging. Every day. Every day. Okay, you on? All right. Whoop. Slip those legs around. All right, buddy. We'll see you later. Have a good day. All right, bud. Rivers Breedlove, the NFL handling the Saints' COVID-19 issues, deal or no big deal when other games were delayed with similar issues? No big deal because they had enough players. Alex Rabelais, Michael Tolliver, Cincy getting in the playoffs proves there's no incentive to play tough out-of-conference opponents. Bingo. Why would I bother scheduling a difficult out-of-conference game when the committee just proved you can play whoever you want? You could be Cincinnati. Paul Lowry, TK, will they cover the... I don't think so. I think Alabama will cover today against Cincinnati. I think they will blow the doors off of Cincinnati. The Georgia game has me a little more on edge. I do think Georgia wins. That's why I would not... At 7.5, I'm a little leery. I don't like that hook. But anyway. Terry Armstrong, Matt, will Andre Carter stay on staff as defensive line coach? Don't know. That's the one we haven't heard about yet. Casey Andrews going to be an all-SEC natty. I agree. Trey Guy, Matt, sorry for this stupid question. Can players in the transfer portal only be signed during the signing period? No, Trey. Remember, this is important to remember. You can only sign one letter of intent in your career. So transfers don't actually sign a letter of intent because they signed a letter of intent coming out of high school when they signed with their original school. So transfers don't sign a letter of intent. They just enroll at the school where they're going to attend. So that's not a big deal. Transfers can enroll, you would assume they would be enrolled for the semester. So like the long snapper from Cincinnati, for example, or from East Carolina, who's coming in. I would just assume he'd be enrolled at LSU for the spring semester. Remember, there are guys who typically transfer after spring football, so then they would just enroll for summer school. They'd stay enrolled at their current school through the spring semester, transfer to LSU, enroll in summer school, and then in the fall. Michael Tolliver, fans need to stop questioning Brian Kelly's moves. He hasn't even had a team practice yet. His resume proves he knows what he's doing. Yeah, it's always bumpy initially too. But remember, that's it. Hang on a second. Nope, you got it. Good job. As always, shout out to Brock, y'all, Patterns Orthopedic Clinic. We're one day away from the new year. If new year means new job, new career, Brock is hiring. brortho.com. brortho.com. Ryan Swallow, Happy New Year's Eve. Had a little too much wine last night. Stayed up later than usual. And one son woke up at 5:30 ready to go. Ooh, that's no bueno. No bueno. Alex Rabelais, Von Bluesman, your thoughts on the no touchdown Tennessee bowl game? Yeah, I thought it was a bad call. How can your progress be stopped when you still move forward? I thought it was a very bad call. Devin Kelly, thought he meant college football as a whole, not just today. The guy with the ratings. Yeah, no, I think again, today's ratings are going to be very bad for the college football playoff. When the college football playoffs on New Year's Eve, the ratings are bad. It's just what it's going to be. TK, the Alabama-Cincy game was always going to have bad ratings unless everyone is betting Cincinnati to cover. It would be better, though, if it were, because there's intrigue with people wanting to maybe watch the new kid on the block, and then Alabama always draws numbers, but not at 3 o'clock on New Year's Eve. Don't understand why the semifinals aren't on January 1st. So it's a rotation, right, with the cotton, orange, sugar, rose, peach fiesta. And the Rose Bowl does not want to move off of its traditional New Year's Day time slot, New Year's Day afternoon time slot. So unless you're going to play one of the semifinals at like 11 a.m. on New Year's Day, which they're not going to do, that's the problem, is the Rose Bowl. So, again, college football's antiquated ideologies, which don't make sense at all, basically because they want a pretty view on TV of the mountains and their silly parade. All of college football's postseason is affected by it because of that, which is just stupid. It's just mind-numbingly stupid. Oh, it's the tradition of college football. How many times have you watched the Parade of Roses? How are you going to be locked into Utah and Ohio State for the Rose Bowl? I mean, I'll watch. It's football on TV. I'm not super pumped about it or anything. Come on. It's where we are in college football, though. They've allowed for its entirety of its history a bunch of dudes in ugly jackets to dictate the postseason of the sport we love. And too many of you have bought that mess hook, line, and sinker about how it's the great tradition and it's the greatest, most meaningful regular season, and it's all crap. College football has the most meaningless regular season in all of sports. Most meaningless regular season in all sports. Because it is the only sport in the history of mankind where you can win every game you play and not even have a chance to win a championship. Meaningless regular season. Does not matter at all. And you have a meaningless postseason for all but the 4 teams in the playoff, as you now see, which is why players are opting out. But you got players opting out of the freaking Rose Bowl. The granddaddy of them all. You got Ohio State players going, who gives a shit? I'm going to go make money in the NFL. Can't blame them. What do they get playing in the Rose Bowl? Oh, I get to put on for my team one more time. No, I'm going to make millions in the NFL. If it were a playoff game, they'd be in it. You better. If LSU were in a playoff game, you damn well believe Damone Clark would be in. Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett didn't even play in a New Year's 6 game last night. He was there. He went to the game, sitting up in the press box with the headset on, but didn't even play. Why? Because he'd be a first-round quarterback. I'm not getting risk injury in the Peach Bowl. They're telling you. The players are telling you. Where are we? Let's see. Gulf South. My insurance company's going to hate me come Monday. They've dicked around too much. So I'm going to start calling them daily until they give me an adequate amount to fix my roof and everything else. Good for you. It takes that. And Gulf South, I know we're working with you, I'm pretty sure. We do have insurance people on staff at HUDCO that will talk to your insurance company on your behalf to get your claim approved. So if you haven't explored that yet, let us do that. Michael Tolliver, I never used an out-of-state company with something like a roof after a storm. Ambulance chasers, if you ask me, give money to the local business. Michael, it's not just that, but like, it's also if you do have a problem at some point, a month down the road, 2 months down the road, who do you call when they've gone back to Florida or North Dakota or wherever? Man, there's so many just horror. Dude, I've heard them all. There's so many horror stories of people who just get taken advantage of. People start the work, don't finish it, but they got paid, so they go home. I mean, we're in the midst of that. I got a call this week from someone who paid an out-of-state roofer. They didn't finish the job, so they called us to see if we can come finish it. It's like, yeah, but you got to go finish it. You know, you got to pay for it again. Normal guy. Hey, true. Ryan Slayton, what's up? Alex Rabelais. You can't slip into signing 3 stars that want to be here over 5 stars. Oh, exactly. No, I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but you have to sign the best players. The 4 and 5 stars are always going to have a home, and you may have a spot for the 3-star that you think is undervalued or you can grow into the spot, whatever. But that's going to be the effect of the transfer portal. And it's why, by the way, it's why college football approved the rule to sign a 1-for-1 transfer, 7 over the number, to incentivize college programs to continue signing high school kids. Because if you could only sign 25, maybe you save 10 spots or 7 spots for transfer, so you only end up signing 17, 18 high school kids, and then you have the rest of your class with transfers. Make sense? Let's see, E-Dub. When you have to pull a kid's leg to get them to commit in this day and age, you're probably going to have to do the same to keep them. That's true. Whoops. Oh. Doggone it. Joseph Armato had an arbor company from Florida remove some trees after Ida. Learned my lesson about out-of-state companies. Never again. Should have called Pinnacle. They had to come remove the trees. Bill Gallion, good morning, Happy New Year. Denley Nelson, good morning from Smyrna, Georgia. Originally from New Roads, appreciate that. Y'all smash the like button, by the way. 160 watching there on YouTube, only 66 likes. Can we get that number up, please? Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Brian Fletcher, a New Year's Eve birthday. Happy birthday, Brian. Hope it's a great one. Frankie Casiopo, good morning, Matt. 4-year-old daughter, Ariel, is also a viewer now, says, good morning, Mr. Matt. Well, good morning, Ariel. Thank you so much for watching Morning Scone. It's great to see you there. Happy New Year to you and to your family. I hope you have an awesome, awesome day and a wonderful New Year. Shane Duncan, Goodell's the worst commissioner in sports history. I may be a little biased against him when I say that, so be it. No, he's not the worst commissioner in sports history. He's made a lot of money for the NFL, which is really his job. But the structure in the NFL is broken, and that's on the Players Association because they're the ones that agreed to the CBA, which gave Goodell judge, jury, and executioner power, and really all the players got was fewer practices and softer weed policies. That's basically it. The NFLPA is very weak. It's not Goodell's fault. I mean, he works for the owners. His job is to make money for the NFL, and he's done a magnificent job at that. Corey Keys, wrap in batches, B-Straw. I think Notre Dame winning out is the main reason why Cincinnati's in the playoffs. Baylor would have jumped Cincy if Notre Dame wasn't 5th. Yeah, maybe. Charlie Broussard, good morning. What do you think? Who do you think will win today? Who do you want to win today? I think it's the SEC schools that do win. I think Georgia, people are questioning Georgia, who was the most dominant team all year. It's a recency bias thing. And I think Alabama blows out Cincinnati. Kenny Futch, Kim Mulkey's on fire. She is. Talked about that at the beginning of the show today. You got to win. Road win over 13th ranked Georgia. Great way to start conference play. First SEC win for Kim Mulkey. Jerry Zimmerman. Let's see. So Napier deserved an interview despite coaching in a Rudy Poo league, but Cincinnati deserves no clout for being in a Rudy Poo league. No, Jerry. Don't misunderstand me. You can be a good coach, and Cincinnati can be a good team. See, what you just did is called a red herring. you bring up something to distract from the real issue. The real issue is, does Cincinnati or any Group of 5 team deserve a playoff opportunity? Had ULL gone undefeated, I would have told you they do not deserve an opportunity to play in the playoff because they did not play a schedule requisite with being and earning a playoff spot. Very different conversations. I see what you did there. I'm just a lot smarter than you. So that's a red herring, and that's not the argument here. The argument isn't, is Luke Fickell a good coach or is Cincinnati a good team? The answer to both those can be yes, while still an argument that is not mutually exclusive is Cincinnati doesn't deserve a playoff spot because of the schedule they played. They played the 86th strength of schedule in college football this year. You do not deserve one of 4 spots, coveted spots in the playoff when you play the 86th strength of schedule. So run along, Jerry. Clown show. I do like they said Rudy Poo, though. That's pretty funny. Bob Champagne, Happy New Year from Jersey. Whole family's out with COVID. That's a bummer. Let's see. Bill Gallion, old dudes and ugly blazers. You like when I say that, don't you? Charlie H, Happy New Year's to everyone. Matt, can you find a specific point in the season where LSU football team fell apart? The season opener? I mean, Kentucky was the ton of bricks that broke the camel's back. When you went up there and got absolutely just blasted. TK, the granddaddy bull, fell asleep on his recliner over a decade ago. The Georgia-Oklahoma game, though, was really good. Not coincidentally, that was a playoff game. Voodoo, I love people with the Rose Bowl are complaining that Ohio State players are opting out. Maybe the Rose Bowl finally understand they aren't different than any other bowls. It's just another meaningless game. It's got a lot of tradition there, but it's just another meaningless game. Bill Gallion, saw that with Kenny Pickett, yep. Rowing Bears, meaningless regular season, laughing face emojis. Yeah, Bill. Or what was your name? Oh, fake name guy. Yeah, it is a meaningless regular season. When you win every game you play and don't even get a chance to play for a championship, why'd you play all those games? The players are telling you right now, with opt-outs, they're telling you. Like, their actions speak louder than words. Fans wrap themselves in the cloak of all this history and tradition of college football, and the players are shitting on it right now. They're telling you what it is. Wrap in batches. I watch the Parade of Roses every year, have since I was born. For a lot of people, that's a family tradition, like Christmas or Thanksgiving parades. Yeah, wrap in batches. I'm going to go ahead and assume that number is way smaller than you think. Anybody else here watch the Parade of Roses? I can tell you I've literally never watched it in my life. Jerry Zimmerman, give kids percentage of bowl earnings, not meaningless anymore. But Jerry, here's okay, I know you said Rudy Poo earlier, and I'll answer your question legitimately. Here's a big part of what you miss. A lot of teams actually lose money playing in bowl games because you get a bowl payout, but remember, the bowl payout will cover a team's expenses. So that's travel, hotel, food, etc. And then the remainder goes into the college football playoff, the big pot in the college football playoff. And the SEC, which is divided up 15 ways, the 14-member institutions, and then the league office. So the big check that everybody gets every summer in Destin. The bowl revenue all goes in there. So we'll give some of that to the players. My point is, at a place like the Texas Bowl, you may not have any money left over. Like some of the smaller bowl games, there isn't teams lose money because their allocation for expenses is larger than the bowl payout. So they actually take a loss playing in the game. Like you have to buy the tickets for your band that goes, and you have to commit to buying a certain amount of tickets. Like maybe you have to buy 10,000 tickets from the bowl game. Even if your fans don't buy 10,000 tickets, then you eat that cost. So it's not as simple as thank you for coming to the game. Here's $3 million. It's not that at all. Actually, there's a lot of teams that lose money playing in bowl games. Ben Giat, Joe came yesterday, got what he needed, submitted insurance department, go get their money. That's Joe Morales from Team Hudco. Great dude, hard worker, might be coming to your home soon. Charlie, interesting about the postseason. I feel like we need a bigger postseason, but going from 2 to 4 just created more chaos than before. Grass isn't always greener analogy. No, Charlie, there was always chaos. It just changed the conversation from who's the third best team to who's the fifth best team, or the second best team to the fourth best team. And you could say, well, if you go to 16, then 17 is going to bitch. And that's true. That's true with college basketball, where you have a 68-team field, and every year Dick Vitale's screaming about the first 5 that are left out and who got jobbed. But I don't really care about that. We all watch March Madness, and we agree that the tournament is a ton of fun, and there's tons of representation, and it's a lot. And every sport in the history of mankind has had a true playoff, except college football, because early in its history, we allowed pollsters to vote on national championships, many of whom had never actually seen the teams play for whom they were voting. And then you had this postseason made up of bowl games that was just a cash grab by men in ugly jackets putting together games to get a big payout. I mean, that's all it is and has been forever. And we've just wrapped ourselves in that history and ignored what it's done to the fabric of the sport. And look at what you're seeing right now. You've seen a sport that's grown financially to this massive thing, but it's been on the backs of free labor, and the free labor is finally saying, yeah, I'm good. I don't care that you watched the 1976 Rose Bowl with your grandfather. Like that's what the players are saying right now. Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to go make millions in the NFL and not risk injury. That's what they're telling you. So you can either keep having that happen, or you can change. If Pitt, who is the ACC champion, was playing in a playoff game yesterday, Kenny Pickett's playing in that game. Period. If LSU were in a playoff, Damone Clark would still be playing. But they're not. They're playing in the Texas Bowl. He's like, peace, I'm going to get ready for the Senior Bowl. Okay. Thank you for your service. I mean, it's such common sense. It's amazing there are people that actually push back against this. And I guess maybe it's tough because your whole life you've conditioned your brain and you've listened to the talking heads tell you about college football's sacred regular season and all, and it's just bull crap. It's just not true. It's just not. Like, imagine how much more impactful November would be if you were playing for a playoff spot instead of playing to see if you're going to go to the Texas Bowl or the Music City Bowl, where you know you're going to have opt-outs. You know? And I don't need a 64-team playoff. Give me 16. Give me 32. You know, like, the FCS does it. Why can't major college football? And you're like, well, there'll be tons of blowouts. There's tons of blowouts in your sacred regular season. There's tons of blowouts in March Madness. One time in history has a 16 seed beating a 1. You see blowouts every year in the tournament. It's part of it. But do you think those teams are bummed that they got into the tournament and got blown out? They're fired up to punch their ticket to the big dance. I mean, I feel like I run through this exercise all the time, but like, if you had a 16-team playoff, imagine if you, like, would you watch number 1 Alabama hosting number 16 Oklahoma at Bryant-Dennehy Stadium in the first round? Would you watch that? I would. Would you watch number 2 Michigan hosting Iowa in a first-round game? I would. Would you watch number 3 Georgia hosting number 14 Oregon in a first-round game? I would. The Oregon team that went to Ohio State and won, I'd watch that. Would you watch number 4 Cincinnati hosting number 13 BYU? Maybe not. Would you watch number 5 Notre Dame hosting Pitt, ACC champion Pitt? Would you watch number 6 Ohio State hosting number 11 and Pac-12 champion Utah? I would. I think that would be a fascinating game. Would you watch number 7 Baylor hosting number 10 Michigan State? I think I'd be into that. Would you watch Ole Miss, number 8, hosting number 9 Oklahoma State in a first-round game in Oxford? You don't think that place would be batshit bonkers? Come on, y'all. Like, what are we talking about? Why does it work in every other sport but it doesn't work in college football? It's so stupid. No, you know what I want? I want the Armed Forces Bowl. Give me more Gator Bowl at 10 a.m. Anyway. Where are we? Barry Watkins, go Dogs. All right, got a little Georgia representation here. Out the boot, never in my life have I thought watching a Parade of Roses week. Exactly. Gulf South, honestly, I usually have Parade of Roses on. If it didn't bring in ratings, would they have it on TV each year? Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't get ratings because I've explained this before, because you need content. So yeah, absolutely. It's all about, can you get sponsors for it? Keith, and then you fill airtime. Keith Doman, 42-17 Bama. It may go that way. Where are we? Glenn Garner, that's some great info. Never would have imagined a team could lose money to play in a game. They do. Teams lose money playing in bowl games all the time. Let's see. Rowing Bears. Can't compare basketball to football. That's just dumb. Right, because it's devastating to your argument when literally other football leagues, the FCS Division II, they all have a playoff. Is that dumb? Should the FCS have a bowl season instead of a playoff? What's the counter to that? Friend with a fake name. Like, of course, it's dumb because when you have no basis and no logic upon which to stand, then you throw insults like, that's just dumb. Well, what should I expect from a guy with a fake name on a message, on a freaking chat? Of course. That's just dumb. You can't compare basketball and football. That's dumb. Okay, what about football and hockey? What about football and baseball? What about literally any other sport in the history of mankind that's had a playoff when the only outlier, the singular outlier, the one sport in the history of the world that does not have a true playoff is college football? The one. Even, okay, what if the NFL? That's football. They have a playoff. Stupid. That's a desperate person grasping for straws that knows he's been beaten, so now he just starts to throw out arguments. No, you're stupid. Your face is dumb. Right. Let's see. D3, D2, FCS doing 20. Exactly. Like, this guy's losing his mind. But people are watching the bowl games. You want to bet? Let's check out ratings for the. I don't know what bowl game it was. Like, again, okay, now I'll actually give you another logical explanation to something. I won't do what you do. Okay, bowl games exist for two reasons. Let me rephrase. The bowl organizers make money primarily in three ways. Number one, a TV contract. Every sports network, ESPN, Fox, CBS, they need live programming. So, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN News, SEC Network, ESPN Classic, if that's still a thing, whatever. Streaming on ESPN3 platforms. CBS, CBS Sports, Fox, FS1, FS2, they all have to fill 24 hours a day of programming. That's why live sports is so valuable, because it's one of the few things people do watch live, and it eats up large blocks of the day of programming. Whereas the normal produced show has very high overhead. If you're going to do a 30-minute talking head show, well, you have to pay all the talking heads and producers and all for a 30-minute block. For a game, you could fill 3 hours, and you can even re-air that later in the day. So live programming will always have a spot. Do you think people are watching Maction on Tuesday nights? Like, do you think that that's actually getting ratings? I mean, there are more people that watch TikTok videos that go viral than are watching Maction. I mean, you're literally talking about, let's see. Okay. Maction. The highest rated MAC game ever was the 2016 MAC Championship with Western Michigan and Ohio. That was PJ Fleck's undefeated Western Michigan. That got 1.36 million views. The average Maction audience is around. Nope, that was one game that averaged 711,000. So the point is, you're talking about Buffalo, Northern Illinois averaged 199,000 on ESPN2. Bro, that's less than 200,000 people watching a matching game. My point is, people aren't watching bowl games. Like, they're on TV, but the value is for the TV network, they get to fill inventory and they get to sell the airtime. The other way they make money is a bowl sponsorship. Well, why would people sponsor a bowl if there's nobody watching? Because the value is the year-long promotion of being associated with that bowl. Even if you didn't watch the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, you heard all throughout the year with bowl lineups, or even if you didn't watch the Duke's Mayo Bowl, if you didn't watch a minute of the Duke's Mayo Bowl, all year long, you heard in every bowl projection, bowl tie-ins, bowl selection show, on media all throughout the year, on your bowl pick'em contest, Duke's Mayo Bowl. So that brand awareness and association with the game was a year-long branding opportunity. And then I would bet you there are more people who watch Shane Beamer get dumped with mayonnaise than actually watch that game. So that's the value to the sponsor there. It doesn't mean people are watching, because people aren't watching bowl games. Like, people aren't watching a 10 a.m. bowl game in Detroit. Like, that's, again, it goes back to this ideology that people like that guy have married themselves to, but it's sans logic. He doesn't actually know what he's talking about. So anyway, like, I get it. Most people don't take the time to actually learn this stuff and to educate themselves. They make assumptions and they accept their assumptions as fact, and then get in their own little echo chamber in their internet world or message board where everybody says the same thing, and it's just not true. Like, let's look up a rating for a game that happened this week. Let's actually look up a rating for a game that happened this week, so I can prove my point. Okay. Okay, let's look up the Pinstripe Bowl, Maryland, Virginia Tech. Okay, the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. That was at Yankee Stadium. New Era Pinstripe Bowl TV ratings. I don't know if they're in yet. They're not in yet. TV ratings aren't in yet for that bowl game. The highest rated ever Pinstripe Bowl was Penn State over Boston College. They got a 0.9 rating. A 0.9. Anyway. But I'm sure a fake name guy knows exactly what he's talking about, right? He's super smart because he just throws out insults. Jesus Christ. Idiots. Matt, when are we going to see the Hudco Bowl? Give us another 5 years. Maybe 8 years. We'll see if we make that happen. Give me more Gator Bowl at 10 a.m., right? Where are we? Let's see. So Rabin Batcher's talked about the Parade of Roses generating $200 million for the region. Okay, like, for that region, again, you're missing the point. Like, the Parade of Roses generating revenue for that region is fantastic. What does that have to do with college football? This is what you're missing. Like, this is my point. Fantastic. People there love it. I get why people there love it. It's a moneymaker for them. Great. And people there watch it and care, and that's wonderful. For the entire world of college football, they don't. Right? Like, come on, man. That's what we're talking about. You're talking about the entirety of the sport being beholden to this one event in Southern California that completely does affect their lives and does not affect the lives of the rest of the country. That's what you're missing. Sorry, bruh, you're wrong. Look it up. That's what it affects. You just said it affects that region. Great. Mardi Gras affects this region. What if the entirety of college basketball changed the NCAA tournament because of Mardi Gras? It wouldn't make sense, would it? Like, it affects New Orleans, it affects our state, but the rest of the country, they work on Mardi Gras. Sorry, bruh, you're straight up wrong. Bruh, people marry themselves their ideologies, bro. I'm telling you, it's hard to break that down. It's why college football is such a hard problem to have right now. Where are we? Let's see. Rob Scott 3, Matt's Breaking Bad, a fake name guy. Jeffrey Pear, I think Michigan plays like they did against Ohio State. They'll beat Georgia. If Georgia plays like the way they did against Alabama. High school football is a better player than college football, not in Louisiana. Charlie H, All Elite Wrestling averages more people than that on a Wednesday night. Kind of the point. Rapping Batches, I like you, Matt. Been listening since the beginning. I was first subscribed on your YouTube channel. You can be arrogant sometimes when you talk to people. So, Rapping Batches, I want to point something out. And I want you to really pay attention to this, okay? I am someone who, if you attack me, my knives are sharpened. I'm not going to lay down, okay? If fake name guy comes into the chat where we're having a good time and have for 1,378 straight days and starts lobbing bombs and throwing insults and spamming the chat, like, my knives are coming out and I'm going to slay that a-hole. That's how I roll, okay? I'm never going to be on the offensive, though. I'm not that guy. Like, you could say, Matt, you're arrogant, you're a bull. No, I'm not. I'm the opposite of that. I'm as nice and welcoming a person and giving a person as you'd ever want to meet. If someone's in need, I'm the first guy that'll jump. If someone's being bullied, I'll punch the bully in the face. Like, that's who I am. But I'm never just going to lay down. If I'm trying to do a show, and this is the analogy I've always given, Rapping Batches. And I've always given it like to the radio show with people who call in and like yell at me or something like that, or call in and insult me, or that guy jumping in here and like just lobbing bombs at me. You weren't invited. It's like if somebody knocks on my door. This is the analogy I give. If someone knocks on my door at my home, I open the door and they just barge in, put their feet on my furniture and start ordering me around. No, to hell with you, bro. We're gonna fight is what's gonna happen. Like, if you were an invited guest into my house, like if I invited you here, if I said, would you please when I invite guests on my radio show, if I say, hey, would you please give your time for free to come on my show and talk, then I'm going to be a polite host. We may not agree, but we'll have civil discourse and discord. Like, that's the big difference. So you can say the arrogant thing, that's bullcrap. What I just did is with facts, pimp slapped that a-hole in the face who came at me very hard trying to insult me, which I'm just never going to stand for. Like, there's a word I want to use right now that I'm not going to use because it's more than Scone that I would use on Nightcap with Scone. So, no. Rapping Batches. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the guy with the fake name, the rowing bear guy. He did attack me because I know who that is. He does it on Nightcap and he does it on here and he does it on AFR. I know who he is. And he's a total a-hole who doesn't like me or my show, whatever. So every chance he gets, he comes in here and tries to spam chats whenever I'm doing live shows. And I mostly ignore him until situations like today. And that's why I went after him. As far as the Parade of Roses, that's fine. Like, but that's the point I'm making. The Parade of Roses impacts that region. The whole point, the entire point about the Rose Bowl, Parade of Roses, is that college football's postseason. This is the point that you're missing. The whole thing about the Parade of Roses is that the whole Rose Bowl, Parade of Roses, everything. College football's postseason has been structured around the Rose Bowl because the Rose Bowl has its own independent TV deal, independent of all of the games, and they don't want to move off of their slot. So all of college football, like we are having college football semifinal playoff games today on New Year's Eve that no one's going to watch. That's going to affect all these other bowl games and those communities and TV ratings and those networks and those sponsors and those families and everybody because the Rose Bowl doesn't want to move off their slot. And I'm telling you, it is fundamentally absurd that an entire sport is structuring its whole postseason around one game and a parade that the majority of our nation does not care about, and the majority of college football does not care about. That does, as you point out, deeply affect that region. Great, it affects Southern California. Awesome for them. Great for that community. Wonderful. Why does the rest of college football care? Shouldn't. That's the point. Let's see. Clayton Knight, what's good? Patrick Cason, Matt, Texas high school football playoff games have higher attendance than bowl games so far. Some, I bet. Shelby Kelly, dude, I'm eating this stuff up. Jason Souls, playoff expansion is necessary, but I graduated from Southern Miss. Bowl games are a huge deal for schools like USM or ULL. There needs to be a happy medium for big boys and the small D1 football schools. No, there doesn't, Jason. I mean, like, I hate to tell you this, but Southern Miss and ULL and the Group of Five have no business participating in anything associated with the Power Five. None. And it's not to say in a one-off, a ULL can't beat a middling or even a good Power Five, or a Cincinnati can do that as a one-off. But ULL is not LSU and never will be. Georgia State is not Georgia and never will be. Cincinnati is not Ohio State and never will be. Central Michigan is not Michigan and never will be. It's just a completely different world when you talk about resources and everything associated with it. And the problem is the Group of Five wants to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be associated with the Power Five because they need the resources financially. They need to be able to play the Power Five so they can get those checks, because that's how they fund their athletic department, is by taking their body bag games. That's how they fund their athletic department. And their association sucking off the teat of the Power Five. But they also want to be in the mix for the playoff. And my point has always been, it is not LSU's job to fund ULM's program. It's not. And never has been, never should be. But where we got sideways is in expanding the schedule. It became a greedy money grab, where the Power Five has 12 games now, and 3 or 4 of them are against garbage teams that nobody wants to see. But when you buy season tickets, it comes with the McNeese and the ULM or the whoever else is on that, the Central Michigan. And so you're paying full price for a game most people don't want to see. And that's why you have empty stadiums. And ultimately, you're pushing your fans away because you're charging them for something they don't want to see. So I'm not sympathetic. I'm a college football elitist. I'm not sympathetic at all to USM or ULL or any of those schools. If you want to have a program, do your best, have a bake sale, raise money, go to your boosters, whatever you have to do to pay for your program. I just am allergic to the idea of the Power Five paying for the Group of Five. Like, there's the group of five brings no value to the Power Five, which ultimately is why there will come a day where we have Power Five autonomy, where the Power Five is its own thing in college football, and it's completely disassociated from the NCAA and from the Group of Five. Like, that day is coming. I mean, that it's going to happen in my lifetime, in your lifetime, provided I live long enough. Now we have Matt fired up over bowl games. What's your take on bunting? Let's see. John Boudreaux, against your belief, players sitting out started with Fournette and McCaffrey. New mentality of me first. Give up on school, but even more, give up on your teammates. Players enjoy bowl trips. Agents convincing players not to play. They get hurt at Senior Bowl. Still BS excuse. But it's not a BS excuse, John. Like, if you're preparing, I mean, what you're talking about, John, is give up on school, give up on your teammates, enjoying a bowl trip, camaraderie, all that sort of stuff. None of that matters. None of that has any tangible value. None of it has any tangible value whatsoever. If you're Jake Butt and you're a potential first-round draft pick at tight end and you tear your ACL in a bowl game and you slip into the end of the draft and you never really recover and have an NFL career, you've cost yourself 7-8 figures. That's massive. In hindsight, if you could ask Jake Butt, hey, do you wish you'd played in that bowl game? He'd probably tell you no. So I don't blame the guys for not doing it. There's nothing of value on the line. Like, again, if this were a playoff game, all those guys would be playing because they'd be playing with their team for a championship. But they're not. They're playing in a bowl game where a coach gets mayonnaise dumped on his head. Or a bowl game where a coach gets a bucket of French fries dumped on his head. For what? I mean, en masse, they were giving you the answer. I mean, John, you care because you're a fan. you're not the one who has millions of dollars on the line. I would say put yourself in their shoes, but you can't, and so you never will. You know what I mean? Neither will I. Let's see. Chris Fondo, Edo was known as a player's coach. Players seem to be loyal to him. Why do you think he lost the locker room? Well, I mean, it started last year with all the social injustice stuff. I mean, I think that's really well documented at this point. You know, a lot of his minority players came to him with concerns. He brushed them during social injustice stuff. He brushed them off. That's why they marched without him in the president's office. And once you lose the locker room, man, it's really hard to get it back, if ever, you know. John Capone, good morning. Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner right now. Shelby, I'd agree with that. Rob Manfred has been a pretty awful commissioner for baseball. I would agree with that. Back to the Goodell conversation before. So John Boudreaux said, so Jake Butt tears an ACL 3 weeks later training. Can you please give me an example where that's happened? And even still, you're doing it with an intention in mind. Playing in that bowl game is not in any way going to increase your draft stock. Training for the Senior Bowl and for the Combine will. Injuries happen, no doubt, but put yourself in a situation where you're putting yourself at some risk with a value benefit. There is none playing in the bowl game. If Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett or Jake Butt or whoever doesn't play in the bowl game, it's shown like it's not going to affect their draft status at all. Leonard Fournette didn't play in the bowl game. He's the 4th pick in the draft. I mean, it's not going to affect their draft status whether they play or not, so why risk the injury? There's no upside and only downside. The only benefit is all the intangible mumbo-jumbo you're talking about that only fans care about because you don't really in your soul care about the player. You just want your team to win. That's really it. Like, you don't care. You really, really, really don't deeply care about Neil Farrell or Damone Clark. You love that they helped LSU win games and you want them to do well so you can wrap yourself in your purple and gold pride and all that stuff. But you don't like sincerely care if Damone Clark goes to the NFL and makes riches. You'd be pumped for him if it happens, but Damone Clark and his family have a different level of give a damn than you do. That's just undeniable. Hey, buddy. And by the way, if players want to play in a bowl game, mazel tov, man. Do you? If that's the decision they make, and they want, like Matt Corral's playing in the Sugar Bowl, he wants to go ride with his team. Good on you, bro. Enjoy it, man. Go make a memory. I hope he's awesome. But I also don't blame those that don't want to play. You know what I mean? Let's see. Ooh. We are rolling in here. How about this? Sam, you just don't get it. People are telling you that you're rude and arrogant for a reason. Do you really think that's telling one of your listeners that you're smarter than them is professional? Sam, my point is, that guy who came in here and is rude, I don't give a shit if he listens anymore. If he left and never came back, my life would be no different. None whatsoever. That's my point. I am not going to fall on my knees for one listener. I will never, ever, or view ever. That guy can unsubscribe, leave, and never come back. Talk bad about me forever, and I don't give a shit. So let me tell you this. I will never, and I've done this long enough to know, I will never, ever, ever, ever sacrifice the enjoyment of the show as a whole for the feelings of one person who's being an asshole. Ever. That's why, like, if one caller comes on the show and he's terrible and he's ruining the show, everyone who has 20 minutes in the car in their commute to listen, I'm not going to let that person drone on for 5 minutes with a bunch of bullshit that nobody really cares about just for their feelings, because I don't care about that. I care about the larger audience and their enjoyment of the show that they're watching or listening to. So that guy, I don't care about him. I don't at all. He can leave. There's plenty of people here who enjoy watching the show and the content, and have a good time and start their morning this way and have for a long time. And that's perfectly fine. And as I've said so many times, Sam, if all of you tomorrow left and I had zero audience, okay, I'm good with that. Like, it's the nature of this business. You create content, people either like it or they don't. If they do, great, you have a career. If they don't, then you're a random dude just talking to himself on the internet. And I'm good either way. if tomorrow I have no audience, I'll find something to do. I'll be good. Really, I'm fine. So I don't care about that guy. I don't. If he's going to be an a-hole, I'm not interested. So I'll call him an a-hole. I'll verbally pimp slap him, and he can leave. But the really sad part is, Sam, he's going to be back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Because the people like that, it's like a disease. They don't know how to quit. They're addicted to it, and I don't understand it. Like, I'll never understand that. I'll never understand, I say this all the time, why someone chooses to listen to watch, to consume something they say they don't like, something that makes them unhappy. When life is so, look at this day. Blue sky, it's gorgeous, it's sunshiny, it's New Year's Eve, many people have the day off, we're gonna watch football and live in the freest country in the world. Why would you do something that makes you upset? I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Go find your happiness. Go find your peace. Go find your joy. You know what I mean? Like, why come here every day to pick a fight and to be an asshole? I just don't, it ain't my thing, bro. It ain't my thing. Shelby, people want to throw blanket judgment on these 18-year-old kids not knowing anything about their personal circumstances. It's so stupid. That's true, Shelby. I mean, if you go look at Damone Clark's post, Damone Clark's got a baby girl. That's his why. Great. His why isn't to go win the Texas Bowl. His why is to try to make a great life for his daughter. And if playing that bowl game sacrifices that, I'd say, brother, go spend this month getting ready for the Senior Bowl and for the Combine. I'm mad at him. Clayton Knight, you could just ignore fake name guy. He comes at you because you address his comments. I ignored 95% of them, but there's times when I want to choose them. When I do want to address them because it's comments I don't want to address, like I did today. Keith H. Matt, I'm here to say, for some, the truth hurts. But Keith, you saying that is going to really piss off Sam and the other guy who can't go away. Glenn Garner, most time I don't get to watch till 5 p.m. Wouldn't miss it. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you for being here. And that's the point. So if Sam or the people that don't like me or call me arrogant or whatever, like if they leave forever, I'm perfectly okay with that. Like, you can go. Bye. Go. See you. Leave forever. I'm good. I'll be good. I'll be here with Glenn and with Bill and with Keith and all the people that like the show. And like I'll be here. You know where to find me. But if you don't, just leave. It's okay. Rapping batches. I like Matt, though. He don't take no shit. Doesn't apologize for it. I respect that. And a lot of people do. And some people don't. And that's okay. That's okay. Where are we? Bill Gallen sing the Brother Martin fight song. No, Bill. I only sing state champion fight songs. All right, I think we're just about done. Appreciate y'all for watching. Even fake name guy and Sam. Appreciate y'all too. Do you think Mike Denbrock will be announced Saturday? Maybe, Tim. But my thought on that, honestly, is you wouldn't want to do that on New Year's Day amid the clump of bowl games because it would likely get lost. And then same with Sunday with the NFL. Like, if you ever want to break a story to get headline news, you do it either like on a Sunday night so you get the whole Monday news cycle, or on Monday to get the whole Monday news cycle. The worst time to do it would be on like a holiday or a Friday. So I really don't know. Jeffrey Perry, can we get a Go Tigers from Drew? Let me see if I can get him in here. Hey, Drew. 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 Come see. Hey, come see. Come see. I have to tell you something. They're asking you to say Go Tigers. Hang on. Can you say Go Tigers?
Go Tigers.
Yeah. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. Hey, do you love LSU? LSU Tigers? And we say
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Hey, do you want to do the entire round the SEC? The Alabama,
Go Tigers.
the Auburn,
Tigers.
the Arkansas,
Razorback.
the Florida,
Edo.
the Georgia,
Edo.
the Kentucky,
Waka.
the LSU,
Tigers.
the Mississippi State,
Edo.
the Ole Miss,
Rebels.
Agreeables. The Missouri,
August.
the South Carolina,
King.
the Tennessee,
Monkey.
the Texas A&M,
Maggie.
the Maggies, and the Vanderbilt.
Camino.
Yay! All right. You want to tell everybody Happy New Year?
Happy New Year.
Good job.
Um,
All right, buddy. There you go. There you go. Happy New Year to all the Scones, especially Drew. Especially Drew. Michael Godin. I'm only here to watch Matt verbally pimp slap trolls. Well, Michael, you're welcome. All right, y'all. I think we are done. Did MC Golick Jr. dip an Oreo in mayo? I did see that on Twitter. That, or maybe it was Instagram, because I think Ryan Clark shared it. I love that they are now the Maggies. He has combined like the Texas A&M Maggies. He has heard Maggies. So when I say Texas A&M, he says Maggies. They're the Maggies. Shelby, crazy how big Drew is getting. Glad to see he's doing well. Yeah, man. 7.5, bro. It'll be 8 in July. Crazy. What a blessing, man. Patrick Cason, have you given your breakdown of the DC? Yeah, man, Patrick, honestly, the comments I gave 9-10 days ago whenever it was first reported about Football Scoop, same thing that I, first thing that I said, I hold true. Love the NFL experience, SEC experience as a defensive coordinator, been around football, multiple fronts. Tyrann Mathieu endorsed it, so I'm good with it. And I think Brian Kelly deserves the benefit of the doubt. When you look at the DCs he hired at Notre Dame, Bob Diaco, Mike Elko, Clark Lee, Marcus Freeman, he's got a great track record. I'm excited about it. And you get a lot of these guys back on defense, and you supplement with a really nice recruiting class and certainly some transfers as well. I think they're going to be really good next year. So people keep asking me for an LSU prediction for next year. I keep saying, let me see the roster, because they still probably got about 20 more roster spots they're going to fill. So let me see how they close this class, what they get in the transfer portal, see how they supplement this roster, and I'll have a much better sense for you. Tim C. Hutco jingle one more time. All right, let's do it. Remember to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. If 2022 is the year you get a new job or a new career, Brock is hiring. brortho.com. Spread the word, brortho.com. And remember,
When you need a roof, call someone you know. My Scone and Terrio.
All you need is Hutco.
Call Hutco Roofing.
364.
1007.
okay, y'all. 10 a.m., 10, 11 a.m. All right. Travis, good morning. Thanks for great content. Sorry, I'm pulling for Cincy. Hate Bama too much. I hate Bama as well. Let me be clear. I'm not pulling for Alabama. I'm pulling against Cincinnati. Okay, y'all. We'll see you. Y'all have a great day. Happy New Year. Y'all be safe tonight, man. If you're getting out and about, please don't drink and drive. Please call an Uber. Have a DD. Please don't drink and drive, y'all. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Don't drink and drive. If you're going to be messing around with fireworks, be safe. You know, golly, it's just every year there's accidents around this stuff. Just be safe. Enjoy the football, man. You know, we'll be back tomorrow for New Year's Day edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock and Hutco. Have a great New Year's Eve, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. Even you, fake name guy.